Yeah. Start the damn
Fun
thing.
Friday.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1233. 52 degrees, the record high. That was in 1931 on this day, and 26 below on this day in 1897.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your flashlight king, the fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
I happen to think Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty is a corrosive, vengeful, mean-spirited woman who has deep philosophical views. I'd love to see her therapy notes on law enforcement, but it is also important to talk to those who do not think that way. That would be Reverend Tim, for example. Reverend Tim, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Are you a fan of Mary Moriarty?
Am I a fan of hers?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan, I would say, but I understand what she's trying to do.
What is she trying to do?
Well, her whole thing is to swing the pendulum as far left as she possibly can get it, because, you know, it's way far right when it comes to the Republicans and law enforcement. So she's going to swing it as far left as she possibly can get it.
And you approve of that?
No, I don't approve of that. What I approve of is her getting the conversation started, because there is no conversation right now. You cannot get the Republicans to sit in a room and actually talk about police reform. You can't get them to say words like police brutality. So Mary is saying, well, I'm going to start, or I'm going to force you to have that conversation. Only thing the Republicans have to do is sit down with people like myself or someone else to understand what the people are actually asking for. You know, we got rid of the people who wanted the defund the police. We got rid of those people. So we can have a dialogue of saying, how do we work with the police and how do we work with the community? Because right now, if I'm a police officer and I see somebody with a tail light that's out, I'm not pulling you over, man. I'm going to wait till we get up to a stoplight. I'm going to roll my window down and say, hey, your tail light is out. I'm not getting out of the car and dealing with you.
All right. Now, you're obviously referring to the most recent case that has put her in the news, and that's the Rickey Cobb getting stopped by state troopers last July. Am I correct? This is what's compelling your interest at this moment?
Yes, sir. Exactly.
And what would you have done in that case?
I would have stopped him and more than likely probably got him for what I stopped him for.
But what if you discover, as you do the routine check of his license, that Ramsey County has an alert out that said we need him picked up on a probable cause for domestic violation contact order? So isn't the trooper at that point required by law to arrest him and get him to Ramsey County? He
is, sir, required by law to arrest him. But then I'm also going to think about the history of if this dude decide to do something that he shouldn't do. I'm going to think about the Kim Potter. I'm going to think about the Officer Noor. I'm going to think about those things. How did that end up for the police officers?
Mm-hmm. Well, then, Tim, what you're saying is, what kind of future are you envisioning? Cops are going to be required to not pursue anything they might discover on the off chance that the suspect they've just stopped could turn out violent.
Pretty much. That is a future that I think that we've got to really start looking at. That at this point, until they sit down at a table and actually come up and fix this. The system is broken, Joe. And time again, we sit here and go, how do we fix the system? How do we make it fair? How do we make it to where, yeah, you know what? If this knucklehead decides to run away from the cops and the cops do what they feel is right, and I understand it, the cops said, you know what? If I let him go and he goes down the road and he hits someone and that person dies, that's on my head, right?
What about if he goes down the road and he drags 2 cops with him and they die?
Got a point. That's the whole thing. How do we fix this?
How do we?
Well, you just said the way you'd fix it is you wouldn't stop them, or if you did, you wouldn't follow up on what you discovered when you did the routine license check.
No, what I'm saying is we need to find a way to make sure that if a cop arrests someone and that person decides to take off and that cop feels that his life is in danger, he shoots them, then the cop don't go to jail. But right now, if I'm looking at it from the cop's standpoint, but right now we know that anything can happen. And if anything happens, there could be a chance that this cop that's right now they're trying to put in jail, he felt that I have to stop this. So at that point in time, he leaps in, he does what he's supposed to do, and the guy dies. So now he's in trouble.
Why can't this? It's Rook here, Rev. Why can't we stress compliance? Why is that such a bad thing?
Well, you look at it. You look at the history, though, Rook. You look at the history of when people. You go all the way back to Dr. King, right?
Okay.
Say my grandfather. My grandfather's out marching to try to get better wages. And he's getting bit in Memphis, Tennessee on Bill Street by dogs with cops with dogs. You go all the way back then and you bring yourself up here. We've always been in the hairlines of the police, no matter what we do.
All right, let me stop you right there. When would you ever be satisfied that period has ended?
When we sit down at the table and they start going, here is the deal. We're going to listen to when black people say police brutality, because we've been saying that all the way back to when NWA came out with the record, Blank the Police. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Oh, yeah.
All the way back when they came out with that album, all the way back when they decided to say the Black Panthers who were protecting their community can't have guns to protect their community from the police. So when they sit down at the table, and when we get the Republicans that can sit down at the table also and come up with what they have, and the Democrats come up with what they have, because they can all come together. I have talked to Republicans. I have talked to Democrats. They can sit at the table and actually come up with laws, with bills, with things of that sort, without actually getting up and nothing's being done.
Let me
This
tell you
can
something.
happen.
Sir, let me tell you something. I'm looking at a Department of Justice report that found 20 incidents of misconduct by the Minneapolis Police Department out of over 1 million calls. That means 0.002% of calls were considered problematic. The other 99.998% we never heard about. If driving while black was regularly occurring, these numbers would be much different. We're not in Memphis right now. We're not in NWA's record right now. We're in 2024, and there's not a cop or a trooper alive who isn't aware of the tremendous cultural and social obligations he or she must face.
And No, I'm sure they're all out there with that. I'm just giving you an example of what it's like when I go to the meetings and they're talking about how do we stop police brutality? How do we stop the jump out boys? How do we stop Minneapolis police from rolling by and looking for a reason to get a group of guys all riled up so they can come in and break out the batons and things of that sort? How do we get them from riding around during protests, shooting people with rubber bullets, shooting reporters with rubber bullets? How do you stop that type of stuff?
But sounds to me like what you and Mary Moriarty would do was just you would completely back off on law enforcement's authority over right and wrong.
No, I would give them. They have the authority, but they've got to make sure that they de-escalate the problem. They know they're going to have a problem. They walk up if they walk. I don't think there's a cop out there, right, who is going to walk up to a car with a black man in it, and that black man probably got a record, that don't think that he's going to have some type of problem, right? I mean, that's somewhat a given. I can guarantee you that. So how do we de-escalate the problem? How do we de-escalate what's going on?
I can answer you. I can answer you. What's going to happen is the troopers will be allowed 3 times to ask for compliance. Upon the 4th ask, and there is no compliance, they'll say, go on your way, sir. Have a nice day. That's what we're going to have to do.
Yeah, maybe.
And then
maybe.
the world is not going to be made safer by that, but we'll avoid what happened on I-94 July 31st last summer.
Yeah, but there's things we could do before that.
They'll name one.
Right? Number one, we can make sure that when a police officer stops someone, that they have complete authority, that just what you just said. Now, if I ask you over and over and over to get out of the car, right? I think the police should have a right to tase someone right then and there. They got the window down, just tase them and pull them out of the car.
All right.
I see zero problem with that. Hit them with the taser a couple of times. If you got to break the window, tase them and get them out of the car. My thought on that, then that eliminates the gun being in play. If this person has a gun, okay, there's nothing the cop can do about that. I mean, he has to return fire. No ifs, ands, or buts. But somewhere in there's got to be somebody with a level head. The perpetrator, the thug, he can't have a blown up head, and the cop can't have a blown up head.
Well, stop right there. The suspect's never going to have the correct attitude ever. So therefore, it's incumbent on the officers, whether state patrol or police, to unfortunately walk away. I don't see any other answer to this. Walk away.
That's the answer. Going just what you just said. Give them an opportunity to do what you told them to do. If not, break out the taser. Shoot them with the taser.
A taser is a new wrinkle in this particular case, and I don't have any information as to why it wasn't used. Maybe it was considered. I don't know. Right.
No, I understood. I that's what I think. I think they should have every right. If someone is not complying with their order, they should be able to tase them at any point in time they feel that it is right.
I doubt if Moriarty would go for that, but I'd give it a try.
I don't see why not, though, Joe.
Well, that's because don't get me going on her.
See, but they're not shooting and killing anyone.
Right.
No one's. You're not going to kill somebody if you tase them and then rough them up and put them on a. And I'm good with, like I said, I'm good with you roughing them up.
Well, we can't go there either. That would be frowned upon, and I'm not advocating that.
I am.
Okay, you can. I can't.
I'm at a point now, though, Joe, to where I'm really saying we need to bring back on the weekends stop and frisk. I know that don't sound good. I know everybody's going to get pissed at me about that, especially in the black community. But we're at that point when two babies and then a lady gets shot by sitting in their house and watching TV. Enough's enough.
But you just got done saying that where police are problematic is rolling along and suddenly stopping and giving some grief to people. Now you're saying they should stop and frisk them. That doesn't make sense.
I was giving you some understanding of where things are going. What I'm saying is what we need to do is get to a point to where we can sit down and come up with laws and give the police officer at this point, because of the things that are going on and where we know they're going, that where a police can walk up to someone and stop and frisk him right now.
Let's continue to follow this case and stay in touch because I appreciate your views.
Yes, sir. It sounds good to me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You have a good day.
Thanks, Rev.
All right.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Thank you. I don't know if we accomplished anything, but thank you.
Well, no, but he gives us an interesting and unique perspective.
That needed to be said.